The city of Los Angeles has changed throughout the years and has been degrading slowly throughout time. Los Angeles is home to 3,795,936 individuals who are forced to endure the consequences of climate change. In just a typical year, Los Angeles experienced 7 days above 92.6 Fahrenheit. Around the year of 1990 and approaching the year 2050, they are expected to experience an average of 26 days over 92.6 Fahrenheit, as the number of heat waves the city is expected to see will increase throughout the years. Heat waves are not the only issue the city has been forced to address. It also has the concerns of oil drilling in low-income communities. In order to fight this, there are many nonprofit organizations who plan to help these communities and stop the city from oil drilling. One of these organizations being LA Forwards. There are many other individuals outside of LA fighting for a better California, this being Governor Newsom. However, one of the main problems oil drilling will encounter in these 4 upcoming years will be Donald Trump's presidency policies on the concern of climate change. This digital short film will take the stance of why oil drilling in low-income communities in the city of Los Angeles will be detrimental and the nonprofit organization LA Forward's mission, as well as other viewpoints concerning this issue. LA Forwards is a nonprofit organization that works in the city of Los Angeles that helps provide aid mainly to historically marginalized low-income communities. As the heat waves in LA are increasing, it is essential to provide aid for high-stakes sections that will be largely hit by this. According to the article, increasing tree cover and high albedo surfaces reduces heat-related ER visits in Los Angeles, California. It states that neighborhoods with a denser development tend to have lower house stock and tree cover, as these neighborhoods that are more directly hit are the Latino/Black communities, as they are 21% and 52% more likely to be at risk of heat-related health problems. This is largely due to the characteristics of the built environment. A solution can be made of planting more trees in these areas, which will allow for a better chance. However, these communities are also put into risk of oil drilling as it is relatively close to them. Los Angeles is one of the largest urban oil fields in the country. These oil fields largely impact the working communities of color. One of the main issues that have been harmed with is air pollution. The oil drilling that takes place around these neighborhoods use toxic chemicals which then are released into the air, harming more individuals. These can lead to harmful results, the most severe being cancer. One of the organizations that is currently fighting for these communities to have a voice is LA Forwards, an organization that is willing to help provide for these low-income communities concerning the effects of oil drilling. The organization has already aided by making an agreement with the city itself. This agreement goes over the acknowledgement of the harm that oil fields and oil wells have. In the video that will shortly play, one of the members of LA Forwards discusses exactly what is required from the city.
2,500-foot human health and safety buffer between oil sites and sensitive receptors, because the closer you live to a site, the more likely your health would suffer. And so the scientific evidence showed that a buffer of up to 2,500 feet or about a half mile would be needed to mitigate those health impacts and to ensure that we were protecting the health and safety of the people living near these sites.
LA Forwards was successful as they helped pass a motion that would draft a decree that would declare that the city would ban all oil drilling regardless of how close it may be to a sensitive receptor. This was a huge one for the organization. Another advocate that climate change has seen regarding oil drilling is Governor Newsom. Governor Newsom has signed previous laws into action that allow communities to have more power concerning oil drilling. His stance on the urgency of this matter is quite clear, as he has stated before, the health of our communities always comes first. These new laws allow local leaders to limit dangerous oil and gas activities near homes, schools, and other areas as they see fit for their communities, and give the state more tools to make sure that idle and low-producing wells get plugged sooner. This builds off from all the above efforts to protect communities from pollution and hold big oil accountable. We will be looking over 3 big bills that Governor Newsom has passed, the first one being AB 3233. This bill goes over the ability that authorities and cities will have, stating that they will be more able to impose restrictions that include gas and oil developments that fall within their jurisdiction. This law will allow for the better protection of communities from health issues that are caused by industrial operations. This law was made by Ambassador Member Don Addis. The second bill that Governor Newsom passed is AB 1866, and it calls out action for the concerning number of oil and gas wells, many of which are no longer in use and they yet continue to release harmful toxins. that puts the environment and local areas at risk. This bill will call for higher fines on these abandoned wells, as well as the increase of more severe regulations concerning these wells and to ensure that there are no risk of high contamination. The final bill that we will be discussing is AB 2716. This bill will call for the stop of low oil production wells, specifically in the Inglewood oil fields. And if these wells are not permanently shut down, they will be fined up to $10,000 a month until they do so. Governor Newsom has already started to make big accomplishments when it comes to ending oil drilling. He as well has another proposal in mind to help prevent big oil profit spikes as well. These bills that have already been passed will allow for safer areas. They also serve as a reminder of how much we value and care for these high at-risk communities. However, despite all of these, there is still one big challenge that oil drilling will encounter. Donald Trump's fascination with oil drilling will be an obstacle we will have to overcome in these next upcoming 4 years. In the most recent 2024 presidential election, Donald Trump was elected to serve. This makes him the United States' 47th president. Many speculation has been floating around concerning his stance on climate change, as well as what his actions will be concerning these effects. As in his past presidency, he pulled the United States out of the Paris Treaty. The Paris Treaty was made in 2015 to allow for a better global response to climate change. It would allow world leaders to take a stance and stop global warming from rising up to a higher temperature than 1.5. However, Donald Trump has stated before how he will be reauthorizing drilling, as many of us are familiar with his slogan, "Drill Baby Drill." In the upcoming video that will play, we will see President Trump's concern regarding oil drilling.
Great people of America, I will end the devastating inflation crisis immediately, bring down interest rates, and lower the cost of energy. We will drill, baby, drill.
In the previous video shown, we saw how little care he has for the environment. However, we will be looking over into just why this will be so detrimental. The first one being his call to drill an Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Drilling on the sand will cause irreversible damage to the Arctic biodiversity, as many Alaskan tribes have already filed lawsuits. One of these tribes being the Gwinnett people, who has stated before, the Gwinnett people's identity is connected to the land and animals. We have lost so much that we cannot afford to lose more. Another risk that is posed is the risk of oil spilling. This will cause harm to the water and affect the polar bears and walruses that already inhabit the land. The U.S. alone uses 12 million acres simply to produce fossil fuels. To put this into better perspective, this is the size of 6 Yellowstone national parks. It is so harmful to these lands as it takes centuries for them to fully strengthen up again. These routes of oil drilling will have a huge environmental cost as it contributes up to 75% of global greenhouse gas emissions, as well as 90% of carbon dioxide emissions. However, despite all of this, Donald Trump's main source of defense in this argument is that it will provide reliable and affordable energy for Americans in every state. Trump's presidency will be disastrous for our climate. His lack of concern for harm that he will be causing will only set us back farther, as well as we will see harmful results happen to the environment and the individuals around concerning his plan for more oil drilling. In conclusion, the city of Los Angeles has been greatly hit, and many of its communities are seeing the negative effects of climate change, one of these being extensive heat waves. However, another main issue that seems to be impacting the city even more is its history of urban oil drilling, specifically concerning low-income neighborhoods, as many of these wells have already been emitting toxic chemicals into the air. The city is home to millions who should not have to endure this alone. LA Forwards is an organization with the goal of helping these low-income communities that are put into risk. Governor Newsom's acts, as stated earlier in this video, will also help aid in this battle. Oil drilling is disastrous and harmful not only for areas, but as well as for the environment. It is essential that more people get involved and are aware of the changes that major cities, such as Los Angeles, are already experiencing. It is important to see just how much oil drilling is impacting climate change. This is not just an issue that will only concern a few. The developments that are already being made show great progress and exclaim the importance of climate change. One way people can help is by looking into policies that concern climate change as listed before in this video.